Hello and welcome to this week's Oracle card reading, week commencing the 15th of January. Thanks so much for joining me this week. This week we're going to be using the Soul Journey Oracle cards to really symbolize what path our soul is on this week, and to see what divine messages that the divine has for us. So we're going to pull 3 cards, and that will symbolize the beginning, the middle and the end of this week. So we've shuffled our deck and we have our 3 cards there. So let's check out what the start of the week holds for us. The first card that comes up for us is empathy, and it says on this card, I am open to seeing both sides of a situation. So empathy is when we literally feel what another person feels, or what another group of people feels. It's not sympathy, where we may look at a situation and think, oh, that's sad, or that's, unfortunate. It's where we literally put ourselves in that position and feel how the other person or group of people feels. So there are a lot of people on this planet who are really brilliant natural born empaths, and a lot of the time this can be very confusing because sometimes what happens is we may take on other people's energy as our own, other people's feelings as our own. So if a loved one feels down, we can feel down, and it is because we are literally tuning in to the vibration that they are resonating at. In order to, empathy is a wonderful thing because it helps us to relate more, and when we relate more to each other, we're less likely to harm each other because we understand how each other are feeling. So there's a real gift in empathy, and it's a gift that we may want to use at the start of this week. If there's a situation that's bothering us, that we're getting frustrated about, that could involve another person, instead of getting angry at that other person or frustrated, maybe we can put ourselves in their shoes and see how they might be feeling, and that might give us a new perspective on the situation as a whole. So that's something to consider at the beginning of this week. It's quite deep. As we move into the middle of the week, the card that comes up is patience, and it says, I accept that everything happens in divine order. So a little like the empathy card, where we're asked to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes in order to see the big picture, we're also asked in the middle of this week, just have a little patience. Things may not be working out right now the way that we want, and things might not be working at the pace that we want. But it's just important to have a little patience, have some faith and trust that things are happening in divine order, in the best possible outcome for everybody involved. But often those situations can't be rushed. So this may sound a little bit more out there than sort of logical guidance, but this is the information that I'm getting through. It's just it's involving a situation in particular that we may want to speed up, but we have to be patient in that happening because there's a reason that it's working at the pace that it's working at. So I hope that that makes sense to you. And then as we move to the end of the week, the card that comes up is service, and it says here, I feel good when I can help others. There was a little quote that I heard, I'm not 100% sure who said it, but it says, if you're nervous, focus on service. And this has worked for me personally so many times in my life. This is one aspect of being of service to others. So if you are going to do a talk, or a speech, or a presentation, or a video, or a podcast, or you're going to apply for a new job, or go speak to that girl or guy, if you're nervous, focus on the service. So if we feel like we're tense and we're getting nervous, what is the bigger picture? What is the bigger outcome? What are the reasons that we're doing a certain thing for? It's for maybe the greater good. Maybe we're doing it for somebody else. So that takes the pressure off ourselves and makes it about a much bigger thing beyond ourselves. When we do things for a bigger purpose than ourselves, even if we do it for our team that we work with, or our families, or we're doing something for our friends, if we put that as the priority in our lives, then we no longer hold ourselves back. This is why a lot of people will say, well, I put God at the priority of my life. And if you don't resonate with that word, however you resonate with that divine creator energy, if we put that at the forefront of our lives in some way, then we're no longer held back, because we're being of service to something else, and it allows us to push us out of our comfort zone, so that there's no excuse anymore to not go for that job or to not go for that dream, because we're not just doing it for ourselves anymore. We're doing it for a bigger purpose. We're doing it for God. We're doing it for our families. Whatever makes you personally want to get that motivation to do it for somebody else. Service is such a powerful tool in our lives, because it allows us to not only get out of our own comfort zones, which benefits us, but it benefits other people as well. So it looks like it's a bit of a mixed bag this week. We have that empathy at the start of the week, putting ourselves in someone else's shoes in order to see what's really going on, to see the bigger picture. We have to have some patience though, because it might not work at the pace that we want it to, but we have to trust in that divine timing. And then also we're going to be focusing a lot on service. So we put our own issues to the side and let the service of others be at the forefront of what we're doing, and that should help us out a lot this week. So I hope that you've enjoyed the reading this week. If you'd like to order your own personal reading, I will put all that information in the description box down below this video. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I so appreciate you being here with me, and until we speak again next week, I'm sending you so much love. Lots of love, Alyssa.